Morning, y'all.
No, I was talking to the cat. I don't think there's a pre-huddle today.
Okay.
Yeah, no pre-huddle.
Yes, I just found out, so I guess we'll just hang out.
Are you guys not reading my
Hey,
emails?
Huh?
Are you guys not reading my emails?
No, I just click on the link.
I'm just gonna stop typing that.
I mean, I usually do, but it's Friday. You know, like I'm on autopilot right now.
Hey,
Sorry.
Bernie, you might want to send that email out again so we can have everyone here by 8:30.
Yeah, I'll send it right now.
I want to thank everybody for their support yesterday. The Dolphins did get Tua Tagovailoa. I'm sure all of you care, but I do care. So thank you for your support. We did it.
I was stuck in a group chat with Jonathan and Danny, and they were talking about the draft, and I'm like, why am I in this? It was so weird.
Oh, you were lucky. I'm sure it was very good content. Probably very helpful.
Yeah, that was us in workers' comp yesterday, but I got a lot of good details. I need to start, learning about these things. Like, interesting.
Yeah, it's something. Anybody have big plans for the weekend? Maybe go get a haircut. Maybe go get a new tattoo today. Get a massage.
No.
I think so.
I'm gonna go to the bowling alley.
Yeah, go bowling.
The bowling alley's open?
I'm getting a tattoo at a bowling alley.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
preeminent. That's preeminent.
Me and my kids are getting tattoos.
Jackie,
You
are
can
you
really make
daycare in your backyard?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Monday, I'm gonna go.
Oh my
to
God! Why
Theory.
is this? Oh my God!
The Falcons picked up some cornerback that got burned for 200 plus yards in a national championship game. So there's that.
Yeah, no, the Falcons stay falconing. They can't get it right.
Y'all keep your negativity over there. Okay, it's positive
Sorry.
Friday.
They should have just taken CD Lamb and had like the best receivers. Yeah, exactly. All right, wait. I guess I'm gonna log off until 8:48.
No, you don't.
You guys read my
Tell us at
emails?
8:30.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good morning. I hope you guys have had a great week. No need to log off. We're going to have a guest speaker. He's actually waiting for us to start. Bernie, will you be able to feature him to make sure everybody sees him?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll give it just another minute. Give it just another minute. I'm just looking. I'm watching the participants number grow. Wait till it gets up to about 80.
Please take a quick second to answer the poll.
Excuse me?
The poll. I just put a poll out.
Okay, and Bernie, let's just be sure that we're recording the. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start. All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. You should see on your screen a good friend and partner of the firm, Ali Mirza. And you've already received an email that kind of summarizes who he is, but let me just tell you. 1 second. Ali is the Chief Revenue Officer of Crisp Media Group, which is a very good partner of the firm, and he's also the founder and CEO of Rose Garden Consulting. Crisp Video is consistently recognized for creating engaging videos that help their clients see an average of 300% return on investment. As an aside, last year we started working with Crisp and saw more than 100% increase in our revenue and our growth. Crisp was recently recognized in the top 10% of the Inc. 500 and of the Inc. 5000 list of the fastest growing private companies in the U.S. in 3 years in a row. Has been one of Atlanta's top 100 fastest growing private companies and best places to work. At Rose Garden Consulting, they are passionate about helping businesses excel at closing deals to get the revenue they deserve. They do this by developing, documenting, and implementing a sales process a sales process and sales strategy that is sure to scale. We are welcoming Ali Mirza, who has a very interesting take on increasing your performance, which all of us need to do, especially during these difficult times. So, Ali, welcome, and we're excited to hear from you.
Good morning, everybody. Seth, I'm good to go. You cut out there for the last second for me, at least.
I don't know where I cut out. Did y'all hear me? Ali Mirza, who's going to have an interesting take on how we can increase our performance.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you guys so much. I genuinely appreciate you guys having me here and spending some time. Seth, I'll tell Seth he's my best friend. Unfortunately, he won't say the same thing back to me, but we are good friends. And so anytime Seth, asks for anything, I'm always happy to oblige, especially with such wonderful people. The first thing that I will say is the Bader Scott firm, and obviously Luis as well. The Bader Scott firm is a friend of mine, of Chris Video. They are committed partners to constantly helping everybody, not only themselves, but everybody inside of their organization grow. So I think that this speaker series that they've launched is a true testament to that. So my goal really here is to come in and provide as much value and valuable information that I can. And I think the way that this came about and was me and Seth were actually speaking one day, and this was probably a few weeks ago, right when this whole COVID thing happened. And there's a lot of uncertainty, and so Seth and I, we were just chatting. And one of the things that we both instantly clicked on was just the simple fact that this is an opportunity. This is a time. I mean, yes, there are a lot of it's very trying times for a lot of people, a lot of families, a lot of the frontline workers, and we cannot be tone deaf to that. That being said, you have to put your own oxygen mask on first. And so looking at it from a stance of opportunity, there is a void in the market. And the first thing that I will tell everybody, as soon as there is a void, the void will get filled. It is your choice whether you let somebody else fill that void or whether you are going to be the individual that fills that void. So just to take it from a positive standpoint, y'all know the work that you do. Y'all know how you serve your clients. Y'all know how much care and how much diligence you take with each and every single case. If you pull back at a time like this, who's going to be left forward? It's going to be individuals that are not going to take care of clients as well as you do. People will always get hurt. It's just the nature of the way. So a lot of people who will try to make you feel guilty or anything like that for working at a time like this and saying, well, look at what's going on in the world. I get it, but you have to look at it from a standpoint of, we have a duty to ourselves, our families, our coworkers, our communities, and our clients to continue to serve them. If you snap in with that mindset, everything looks completely different at that point. And really the only way that you can snap into those types of mindsets, in my opinion, is ego. And this is what Seth and I we were talking about this morning. Everyone will tell you ego is a bad thing. I literally actually have Cy Wakeman's book right here, No Ego, right in front of me. I've read Ryan Holiday's book, Ego is the Enemy. Don't get me wrong, I actually agree with all of those things. However, I think the one thing that a lot of people fail to recognize is ego, while there are very many negative attributes to it, the opposite is what? Positive. And so there are positive attributes to ego. And so I'd like to just quickly break down the difference. If any of you have ever said the words to yourself, I am failing myself, that is ego. That is holding yourself accountable. Now remember, this can go in a positive or a negative direction. You owe it to yourself to hold yourself to a certain standard. When you snap in and you allow ego to kick in positively, and you hold yourself to a certain standard, you will constantly and consistently push forward. Now, the negative side of ego is that paired with lack of accountability. So something negative happens and your ego doesn't allow you to take blame, it puts the blame on somebody else. So as long as you maintain a positive ego mindset along with accountability, it can actually be a very, very powerful thing. So I'll break it down of a few examples, and I know I don't want to go over time here. I believe you guys are at 8:48, so I'll be really quick as I break this down. The one thing that I always tell everybody is your mindset is derived from your physical state. So I'm a big believer in working out in the mornings. In fact, that was actually one of the ways that Seth and I met. We would always be at our 6 a.m. workouts in West Midtown there. And I'm a big believer in getting your body ready for the day. When you wake up, you work out, you get that blood flowing, you are that much more active and that much more prepared for the day. Your mind goes into this achievement mindset. That's why, have any of you heard that, it's like a video that's been going around, is like the first thing you should do every morning is make your bed. It's because it snaps into a small win, a small victory. Right? The same thing as you start working out first thing in the morning, you're now gearing and lining up that positive ego, right? I'm also a big believer in you have to dress for success. And in fact, it's not just a simple, oh, I just want to look good. There actually is a clinical term for it. It's called enclothed cognition. Northwestern University actually did a study, and they gave smocks to, or they did a study. They made two groups of people do a test. One group was just wearing street clothes. The other group, they gave them smocks and told them they were lab coats. The group that was wearing the lab coats versus the group that was wearing the street clothes, who do you think did better? The group that was wearing the lab coats actually performed better on the test. And then when they interviewed and asked them after the fact, how do you feel you did on the test? Their perception of themselves was actually higher because they believed that they were in a professional setting, and they actually geared in mentally. They were just that much more refined. They did the exact same test again. They gave the same smocks, once again, the same lab coats, but to two different groups. To one group, they told them it was doctors' lab coats, and then to the other group, they told them it was painter's smock. Same results. Once again, the group that was wearing the quote-unquote doctor's lab coats performed better on the test. And in addition to that, they also perceived their performance better. So why I bring that up is because that is how important ego is. So anyone that tells you you need to completely root out ego and you should play absolutely zero part in your life and you should just walk through in the most humble of mindsets, I'm not going to disagree with them. But for me, I do know if I hold myself to a higher standard and I tell myself I am better than what I am performing at, I am going to push myself to achieve a lot more. And I believe that is a positive ego. Now, the negative side of that is that lack of accountability, but then also this inability or lacking self-awareness and having this inability to ask or reach out for help when needed. So one example I always give to people is anytime that we're struggling on the sales team here and we aren't on target or are not on track to hit target, positive ego kicks in where I don't fold, I don't give up, and I say, no, we are going to do it. That's my ego continuing to drive me. However, my negative ego, I make sure does not kick in because I am not too proud to ask for help. It is important to ask for help. But that's how you now balance the ego, right? Your positive ego continues to drive you to ensure that you're going to hit that, because I just can't not hit my goals. But then the negative doesn't kick in, where I'm too prideful and not allowing for other people to assist me in being able to achieve my goals. That's how you can actually utilize ego to ensure that you're going to benefit yourself. And the final thing that I will say about this, and then I'll kick it back over to Seth, or unless Seth, you have any questions for me. But the final thing that I will say about this is a lot of this stuff, a lot of what I just broke down, waking up in the morning, working out, these are not, just because you worked out in the morning, you're now not going to be able to consciously say, I feel better. I am going to be, I'm going to make a bigger impact. I'm going to be able to do X, Y, and Z at a higher performance. It doesn't work that way. You have to understand that your brain operates in mental models. So your brain is effectively on autopilot 90% of the time. There's so much information being thrown at you that it's just not possible for you to sit down and be able to process all of it. So your brain has go-tos and automatic reactions. So what you're trying to do is, when you create, your brain's going to create mental models for how it's going to react to certain situations, but you can decide whether you're in first gear or you can decide whether you're in fifth gear. It's entirely up to you. But when you start your day from a positive standpoint, of a positive ego, and hold yourself to a higher standard, you get your body ready, you get your mind ready, you get physically ready, whether it be from an appearance standpoint, whether it be from just a mental attribution standpoint, like, I am going to win the day. And if you hold yourself accountable to that, your brain will automatically kick into a different mindset. It will automatically operate on a different path from a different autopilot rather than the one in first gear, because we all have them. It's just not possible for some people to just be great all the time and other people to be, poor performers all the time. It just doesn't work that way. We all have a sliding scale. So it's really important to ensure that you are, just like what Luis said, you're holding yourself accountable to high standards. And we've all heard the expression, success breeds success. That's really what it boils down to. Is you'll find the higher you perform, the better you perform, all of a sudden you start getting luckier, things become easier, everything is clicking. I'm a basketball guy. I got a couple basketballs back there. I'm a basketball guy. And when shooters catch fire, all of a sudden it feels like the rim is significantly bigger. You just can't miss. Use that in day-to-day life. So that's all I got to say here. I know we got a couple minutes. Seth, I don't know if you have any questions or if I should just posse out here.
No, well, first of all, thank you, Ali, very, very much. We really appreciate that. During this time, especially working from home, I think accountability has been a big challenge. I guess one thing I have for you is, the leadership has been, working to kind of help people hold people accountable. What advice do you have for the individuals to hold themselves accountable? As opposed to like holding themselves accountable to certain KPIs. Do you have any advice? And as you're taking a moment to think about that, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat bar. Ali has a wealth of knowledge, not just on mindset, but on sales, on client service, anything. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask those questions. But Ali, just any tips on holding yourselves or holding ourselves accountable?
I think the most important thing I can say is keep the entire month in perspective and break yourself down into daily goals. I think Tony Robbins was the one who said, we overestimate what we can do in a day and underestimate what we can do in a lifetime. I think if we apply that to your monthly goals, I think that's very important, because it's very easy to say, okay, this month, I don't know, I'm just pulling a number out of the air. I'm going to do $100,000 in this particular whatever. And then we say, well, I'm going to do it all this week, in the first week. We try to get it all. And then realistically, it's probably not possible, hence why we gave ourselves a month to do it. Unfortunately, if we are a little bit off track, we just wash the entire month. So I think it's being realistic and breaking your goal down into smaller segments. I think accountability is key. And here's what I will say is get yourself an accountability partner, whether that's your direct supervisor, whether that's just a peer, whether that's somebody. Get yourself an accountability partner. What we use here at CRISP is a program called Commit-to-3, COMMITTO3, the number 3. It's a free program. It's just 3 things you're going to do today. Everyone does it in the top of the morning, and then we just post it in Slack at the end of the day to say, hey, this is what I accomplished. These are my commitments. I did them or I didn't do them. And that level of accountability to know that somebody's going to see whether you did or you didn't do it is just that little extra driving factor. I think the biggest place where accountability falls apart is we feel guilty holding somebody else accountable. And so if I have an accountability partner and my accountability partner messes up and doesn't do what they're supposed to do, I have this natural inclination to be like, okay, don't worry about it. You'll get it tomorrow. That's not right. And the most important thing I've learned is how you phrase that conversation. And what you should say is, I am failing you as a leader. I am failing you as a peer. I am failing you as an accountability partner, whatever. I am failing you as an accountability partner if I do not tell you you should have done this. It is the nicest, most appropriate, professional way to tell them, hey, bro, you didn't do it. Why'd you commit to it, right? That's ultimately what you have to do. And in my opinion, you have to get an accountability partner that will hold you accountable. That would be the one thing I'd say. Does that answer the question, Seth?
It does, and thank you. You're getting a lot of positive feedback. Does anybody have any questions? Let's see. Somebody asked, would love to know the top 3 books you'd recommend reading for success in life and business, whether it's 3 or 1. Just any resources, books, podcasts, videos that you think are beneficial.
I'd say 48 Laws of Power is my favorite book, and then I'd say the only other one is Predatory Thinking by Dave Trott. So 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene and Predatory Thinking by Dave Trott.
Let's do the questions. You guys have any questions at all? It's a great opportunity, I'm telling you.
Bishop said, great leaders require some degree of functional ego. I would agree. I think that if, again, it comes back down to holding yourself accountable and just believing that you are capable. That's ego. Believing that you are capable of more than what you are achieving right now. When it becomes negative is when you allow that to affect you negatively. When it becomes negative is when you believe that, you're a victim of your circumstances. But when you believe you are capable of more than what you are doing, and you're internalizing that, and you're not blaming anybody else, and you are holding yourself responsible, I just don't see how that's a negative thing. I can't.
I got you. Another person asked, how does a person go from a state of low positive ego to a high positive ego?
I think you have to look within. I think you have to look for what truly drives you, and use that. So for some people it's money, for some people it's family, so I'll share what it is for me. Of course, I mean, like Seth knows, I'm a very materialistic person. But here's what I will say: where my ego comes from is the fact that my parents immigrated to Canada. Actually, my father was 37 years old, didn't speak a word of English, and he immigrated from Pakistan to Canada. 3 kids, and doesn't speak any English, has no high school. If that man, and I say this in the most respectful way possible, if that man can do that, and he can actually achieve, and with everything that was against him, all for me to have a better life, how could I possibly achieve any less? With everything that I've been blessed with all of the privilege that I've been given, every single thing. For me to now say, well, no, this is not fair, and that's tough, so I'm going to give up. That, to me, is a slap in my father's face, and I'm not doing him justice. So to me, I have to do more. And that's where I allow my ego to come in, where if my father could do it with all of those hurdles in his way, I have next to 0 compared to him. How could I possibly achieve less? He did all that for me, so my ego will not allow me to achieve less. So that's what I use for myself as my motivation. Everyone has to find their own.
Amazing stuff. Ali, do you have a few more minutes? We're getting a few more questions.
Hit me.
Rose asks, would you say that with accountability or holding someone accountable and setting ourselves to high standards requires forming good habits to achieve our goals? If so, what good forming habits do you recommend to continuously push ourselves for high standards?
Yes. So here, that's an excellent question. So I don't believe that you can, get to where you're going or do something new or really achieve unless you are dialed in. And this is me personally, and I'll be the first one to tell you, I was never a morning person. But believe me, if you are, if your day starts, let's just say every day starts at 8:48, right? And you're waking up at 8 o'clock and you're rushing into work, I assure you, you will not be successful. I cannot see it. Prove me wrong. You can. I may be wrong. I just don't see it. I wake up every morning either between 4:30 and 5 o'clock every single morning. I have to get my workout in. Now, I'm not telling you you have to work out first thing in the morning, but I do. You have to commit, and you have to, by the time that you are starting, now I'm rambling, but I'll give you guys an example. Again, basketball player, most basketball games start at 7:30. The NBA basketball games start at 7:30. The players show up to the gym or to the arena around 2 p.m. So they're there like 5, 6, 7 hours before tip off. You have to warm up. You have to get ready. You can't just show up. You can't show up to the arena at 7 o'clock and then get dressed and then tip off is at 7:30. Doesn't work that way. Yet too many people take their jobs that way. They wake up right before they have to get started. I'm a big believer you have to shower first thing in the morning. I don't care if you showered at night, you have to shower. It cleanses you, it gets you ready, locked in. I mean, these are just little things that if you just make habits of waking up a few hours before you have to get started, showering, just doing something, getting a small win, if you do things like that, I assure you, your brain, like I said, will be locked into a different mindset and it'll be geared for success. I hope that answered the question.
I think it does. Well, I don't see any other questions, but if you have anything else you wanted to share, we'd love to hear it. It's been huge. And again, I didn't get to say this. This is the first of our Bader Scott speaker series. It's been amazing. I saw some text chats. This is the best speaker we've ever had. So it's a great way to kick it off. You've set the standard now, and the standard is really, really high. So hopefully, future speakers can reach as high as you've set the bar. So thank you very, very much. We really appreciate it, and I'm sure if you guys have any questions for Ali after this, I know him. He'd be more than happy to answer those questions, and I can provide you guys with his email. And again, thank you, Ali. Tell Michael and everybody at Chris we said hey, and thank you very much. Bye, guys. Have a great day. See you later.